हेलो दोस्तों, स्वागत है आप सभी का हमारे चैनल इग्नू सेंटर पर। तो दोस्तों, जैसे हमने आपको पार्ट 1 का वीडियो बनाकर दे दिया है क्वेश्चन नंबर 1 का, और ये आपका क्वेश्चन नंबर 2 रहेगा। और अगर आप हमारे चैनल के साथ नए जुड़े हैं तो चैनल को सब्सक्राइब, लाइक और शेयर ज़रूर कर दीजिएगा। और स्टार्ट करते हैं हमारा सेकेंड क्वेश्चन, जो है डिस्कस द प्ले विद इन द प्ले इन अ मिडसमर नाइट ड्रीम, जो आपका 20 मार्क्स कैरी करता है। और इसका आंसर रहेगा आपका स्क्रीन में है, और जो आंसर है हम पढ़ने जा रहे हैं। आप कृपया पेन और पेपर लेके बैठ जाइएगा। तो दोस्तों, आंसर है मिडसमर नाइट ड्रीम इज अ parody composed by William Shakespeare in 1595/96. It depicts the occasion encompassing the marriage of Theseus, the Duke of Athens, to Hippolyta, the previous ruler of the Amazons. This incorporates the experience of 4 youthful Athenian sweethearts and a gathering of 6 novice on-screen characters, the mechanical, who are controlled by the species who occupy the backwoods where the vast majority of the play is set. The play is one of Shakespeare's most mainstream work for the stage and is generally performed over the world. The last demonstration of the play, totally pointless in connection to the remainder of the plot, exposes a conventional dread of the Elizabethan theatre, to be specific, that of control, although the play, the lower craftsmen who wish to perform Paramus and Thisbe attempt to degenerate the plot and guarantee the group of spectators that the play isn't genuine and that they need not fear the move making place. This comes full circle in the genuine closure, in which Puck proposes that in the event that we don't care for the play, at that point we ought to only consider it to have been a fantasy. One of the most striking highlights of A Midsummer Night Dream is that toward the end, individuals from the group of spectators are uncertain whether what they have seen is genuine or whether they have woken up subsequent to having had a similar dream. This is obviously decisively what Shakespeare needs to clarify, specifically that the performance center is just a common dream. Henceforth, the steady instruction of that fantasy in the Paramus and this be creation, which serves to features the fake part of the theater, base and his organization, offer us not just Paramus and this be as a result of our creative mind, yet the whole world also play within the play in A Midsummer Night Dream. A Midsummer Night Dream is a play containing different plays. The most evident model is the Walker's exhibition of Paramus and Thisbe, and their incompetent generation solve 3 significant capacity in the bigger structure of the bigger play. To begin with, the Walker mix up and false impression acquainted a start of Sam with the satire of the bigger play. Second, it enables Shakespeare to remark on the idea of workmanship. Theatre fundamentally though the workers' very own befuddled convict 5/14, the group of spectators won't probably recognize fiction and reality. Third, the worker play is proof a significant part of the remainder of A Midsummer Night Dream. Paramus and Disby are sweethearts who, confronting resistance from their flock, steal away similarly as Hermia and Lysander do. So, even as the sweethearts and this is ridicule the workers' ludicrous presentation, the crowd which is viewing the darling watch the workers play know that the darling had been similarly as silly. A Midsummer Night Dream likewise contains a second subtler play inside a play. In this play, inside a play, Obrien is writer, and he looked to state a parody where Helena gets her affection. Lysander and Hermia remain together. Titania learn and exercise in wifely submission, and all contentions are settled, though marriage and compromise, also similarly as the workers' play, transform a heartbreaking show into a comic joke. So does Oberon's when Puck unintentionally puts the adoration Eliza on the eye of an inappropriate Athenian man, but then Obrien play additionally plays a counter need to the workers' play, while the workers' horrendous exhibition appear to propose the utmost of the theatre. Obrien play, which modify the life of similar human who follows the worker play, recommends that auditorium truly has an enchantment that resists reality. So friends, till here we deal with question number 2, and now we start our question number 3. Hope you all understand it, and if you didn't understand or the words doesn't seem good, then you can also check down some words in your Google or your dictionary so that you get a perfect meaning. So friend, some of the words or letter are missing in my question number 2. So in from the above question answer, if you think the words is missing, you could search the words by your own sense and write it down. So let's begin with our question number 3. To what extent does Hamlet correspond to classical or medieval notion of tragedy? This also carries 20 marks, and the answer is Hamlet is one of the most famous tragedies ever written, and in many respects it exhibits the features traditionally associated with the tragic genre. In addition to the play ending with the death of Hamlet and a host of other, Hamlet himself is a classic tragedy protagonist. As the Prince of Denmark, Hamlet is a figure whose actions matter to an entire kingdom, which means the play events reverberate though the entire world of the play. Like other tragic heroes, he displays many admirable traits. Hamlet may have a reputation for moping around Elsinore Castle with a melancholy disposition, but this is because he grieves his beloved father ultimately death. Despite his sadness, Hamlet is an intelligent young man of great potential. As many other characters recognize, Fortinbras says as much in the final lines of the play. He was likely, had he been put on the throne, to have proved most royal. uh, V1 373 to 74 line. Finally, part of the reason Hamlet set out down the dark path to destruction is that he succumbs to increased isolation. His isolation amplifies his inwardness and it also has tragic effect on others. His rejection of Ophelia combined with his murder of her 6/14 father drive her to madness and presumably to suicide for all that. It resembles a traditional tragedy. Hamlet also states that usual convention of the genre. One notable example is in the dark path that Hamlet embarked on that led to catastrophe. In most tragedies, it's clear that the hero is choosing to pursue something they shouldn't. In the case of revenge tragedy, the hero succumbs to a desire for murderous vengeance. In Hamlet's case, he seemed to have every reason to take vengeance because Claudius really did murder the king and usurp his place. But Hamlet seems ambivalent about the ghost's plea for vengeance or slowly to carry it out. He seemed to want to know the truth more than anything, which doesn't seem like a tragic choice. The choice he makes that lead to many of the tragic consequences of the play, such as the death of Ophelia, is his choice to isolate himself from everyone else, behave erratically, and pretended to be mad. Another ambiguity in Hamlet's status as a hero, tragic hero, person to his tragic fall. Riddle often identify this as his indecisiveness, which makes sense given that Hamlet himself repeatedly berated himself for being slow to take vengeance. Deities and Fortinbras function as Hamlet fools in this regard. Each one acts with sure-footed certain throughout the play. Indecisiveness is a strange tragic fall, though, because in most tragedies the fall helps explain why the protagonist pursues the wrong thing. That fall is more typically an urge or desire rather than a passive trait. Hamlet indecisiveness does not explain why he murdered Polonius, spurned Ophelia, psychologically manipulate Gertrude, and isolate himself from his peers. In fact, his indecisiveness in the reason he tends to avoid acting. Read in this way, Hamlet indecisiveness does not mark a tragic fall so as an existential condition, a condition that today audience often identify with strongly. Hamlet also belongs to the genre of revenge tragedy in that it features a main character seeking to avenge a wrong against himself, but Shakespeare satires and modifies the genre in several ways. In traditional revenge tragedies, which Shakespeare audience would have been familiar with. The hero is an active, decisive figure who doggedly pursues a clear lane. The obstacles he faces are external, and once he sees the opportunity to take his revenge, he sees it. Hamlet, on the other hand, struggles mostly with himself in his pursuit of Claudius. His obstacles are his own indecision and hesitation, and he lets several opportunities to seize revenge pass, such as when he sees Claudius praying and decides not to kill him. Further, Hamlet only kills Claudius once his own death is assured. So, any satisfaction he gets from his nemesis' death is extremely short-lived. In this way, Shakespeare provides the traditional bloodily action-filled revenge tragedy with a great degree of psychologically complexity and plausibility. So friends, till here we deal with question number 3, and number question 4 we d- deal with our next part, which is part 3. So friends, hope you all like this video, and if it was helpful to you all, please don't forget to share, like and subscribe. Thank you.